Sheila Banks here with another video, and this one is called The Great Hijacking No More. It is an audio-visual presentation of my blog post that can be found at mysticbeastblog.blogspot.com. All kinds of claims have been made about Jesus since he walked the earth 2,000 years ago, and there certainly has been a lot of implausible attached to his name. Early on, the pagan myths of a virgin birth and of the resurrection of a dead man god became firmly associated with his message. This meant that for many, allegiance to Jesus required a belief in a virgin birth and the resuscitation of a corpse. Today, the voodoo and mind-boggling associated with Jesus has a different flavor. We are told Jesus was an alien from another solar system, or he was a Buddhist master with occult powers. And, no word of a lie, I saw a video entitled, Jesus Christ Used Children as Drugs, featuring Ammon Hellman. I must say, that one took my breath away. If only the real message of Jesus, the Christ, had been disseminated and understood by all humans in earlier times. Clearly, he was putting out ideas that rattled the leaders of his day, so they had him killed. They were hoping that his powerful ideas would be lost in the sands of time. Just as in our current era, brilliant thinkers like Tesla have been squelched at every turn or outright murdered. History demonstrates that the powers that be not only want to dictate what can be created, but they want to control how we think. So, when elimination of the actual Jesus didn't work, then came along the distortion of Christ's teachings. But the real deal is, he knew about the psychopaths among us. He knew about their predatory nature and the threat it posed to humanity. The proof is in the book of Thomas the Contender. Jesus is quoted as saying, "Truly, do not consider those people to be human beings. Rather, count them as domestic animals. For just as animals devour one another, so also human beings of this kind devour one another." Thomas's take on Jesus was hidden in the Egyptian desert until 1945. And soon after its discovery, so-called experts came out of the woodwork to denounce its legitimacy. This is likely because the evil rulers of this realm do not want us to fully comprehend the predicament in which we find ourselves. They prefer we did not know we exist in the material world as primates, and that just like every other animal, we have an enemy, and that enemy happens to be them. Just by looking at the New Testament, one would never suspect that Christ's mission had anything to do with parasitical psychopaths. The Bible's focus on Satan, the devil, and human wickedness has us confused about the fundamental source of the evil that plagues our species and leads the weak-willed astray. However, that may have been by design. We now know the church that compiled the books of the Bible was set up to promote a particular narrative to keep the masses enslaved to a Babylonian power structure. Certainly, the New Testament has been a good source for suggestions on how to live nobly in our human predicament. And the last volume, called Revelation, aims to alert humanity to the natural consequences of leaving unchecked a parasitical infection in human societies. But with the unearthing of ancient manuscripts like the Book of Thomas, we have even deeper insights. In the Bible, we meet a Jesus who summons us to the kingdom within. And in the Book of Thomas, we get a clearer picture as to the why. For the body is a domestic animal, therefore you must go about perfecting yourself, quotes Thomas. We must recognize our conditioned responses and subdue our bestial nature if we are to address the conditions imposed by human interdependency. By learning to downplay our egocentric viewpoint, we can behave in a more principled fashion. And by addressing the demands of our interconnectedness in this manner, we get to activate our capacity for conscience, the very trait that humankind must unite around to successfully address the problem of our psychopathic rulers. Do not think that the cabal of psychopaths running the world haven't capitalized on the lack of conscience in our species. This is how we end up with one group of human primates believing in a mission to annihilate another group of their own kind. We now know how the evil ones use psychological operations designed to distort our knowledge base, provoke emotional responses, and shape our worldview. Evil rulers of this world will do anything to halt the evolution of Homo sapiens sapiens. They prefer that we sit around and wait for the second coming of Jesus. Fortunately, there are more and more of us who have concluded the second coming has nothing to do with the resuscitation of a dead man god. No, this phenomenon has everything to do with Jesus' brilliant plan for the salvation of the human species. Now, for Christ's sake, let's all humble ourselves to get on board.